This exercise is called external rotation with scapular retraction, and we actually perform this exercise in 90 degrees of abduction. We use the CLX and the top rung of the net to secure the band. The bottom end of the band is actually placed along the very end of Jackie's humerus, in this case just above the elbow. She then bends the elbow 90 degrees, and we place the other end of the CLX in her hand. What's important to note is that she's elevating the shoulder in 90 degrees, but in the scapular plane, meaning that she's slightly forward. She also wants to maintain a scapular retracted position, so she kind of pinches the shoulder blades together slightly during this exercise. The bottom rung of the CLX actually provides resistance against the scapula as she retracts back, and the top rung here actually provides resistance in external rotation. So she would perform multiple sets of 15 repetitions of external rotation, maintaining this scapular plane position. This is a particularly effective exercise showing how the CLX can provide resistance around dual vectors or different angles of pull. One of the things she's doing very well is she's keeping her shoulder elevated 90 degrees. If she starts to drop, that's a signal for fatigue, and you would want to terminate the exercise. And as the athlete builds strength and endurance, they would be able to do more repetitions using proper form. This exercise is called external rotation oscillation, and it uses a TheraBand flex bar as well as the CLX. What we do is we place the bar in Jackie's hand, we place her out in neutral rotation position, keeping the elbow at 90 degrees of flexion. As you'll notice, we have the towel roll placed under the arm to optimally position the shoulder. She's now going to oscillate the flex bar again in the direction of the CLX band. Oscillating in a front and back direction does not work the shoulder to the same extent. We have to be oscillating in a side-to-side direction. We also want to make sure that she maintains a very good upright posture with some scapular retraction. This is an important aspect of virtually all the shoulder exercises, that we're monitoring the player's posture during the exercise. We would do several sets of 30-second repetitions for this exercise. This exercise is called sustained hold external rotation. We're going to use the CLX and the net post as an anchor point for this exercise. We're going to place the two ends in Jackie's hands, and she's going to abduct her shoulders 90 degrees in the scapular plane. That's about 20 degrees forward from the coronal plane, or the side of the body. She's going to start in a 90-90 position, as you see here. She's going to, the sustained hold part of this exercise, she's going to maintain this position while she does 10 repetitions with her right arm of external rotation, not allowing this arm to move at all. When she completes the final repetition of this exercise, she then does 10 repetitions on this side using a sustained hold on the right. This is what requires the co-contraction of the scapular muscles and the rotator cuff. As she completes her repetitions on each side, she's then going to do 10 reciprocal repetitions, meaning left and then right, and then left and then right. This forces the player to go slowly, as well as I mentioned, provide a great deal of co-contraction to get a greater amount of muscle strength and muscle activation during this exercise. You want to make sure that she holds her arms at about 90 degrees, as if her elbow starts to drop, this is a sign that the resistance is either too strong or that they're starting to fatigue prematurely. This exercise is called Sideline Drop Plyos. We have Jackie in a sideline position with her head supported. We place a towel roll underneath the arm, as you see here, and we use a TheraBand soft weight, 1/2 kilogram, and she's going to, in her hand, drop and catch the plyo ball as quickly as she can for a period of 30 seconds. This is to promote strength and endurance of the rotator cuff and scapular musculature. This exercise particularly targets the infraspinatus, which is a very important decelerator and stabilizer of the shoulder. Good. This exercise is called Sideline Plyo Catches. And we begin with Jackie in a sideline position, head supported, towel roll underneath the extremity. She's going to have her hand up about 3/4 of the way in external rotation. I'm going to take the plyo ball, this is a 1/2 kilogram soft weight. I'm going to throw it such that it lands directly in Jackie's hand. She's going to decelerate the ball and then throw it back to me. And then I'm going to again throw and catch the ball, as you see here. We would do 20 to 25 repetitions to promote fatigue and strength of the posterior cuff and the scapular musculature. This exercise is referred to as the 90-90 Drop Plyos. They use a TheraBand soft weight. We have Jackie in a prone position, and we're going to place her arm in the 90-90 position, which stands for 90 degrees of abduction and 90 degrees of external rotation. We place the ball in her hand, and we ask her to rapidly drop and catch the ball repeatedly for a set of 30 seconds. This promotes local muscle endurance in the scapular muscles and the rotator cuff. It's a particularly effective exercise for overhead athletes because it specifically works the muscles in the exact positions that they use during their activity. This exercise is called the reverse catch plyometric, and it works on the scapular muscles and the rotator cuff. Jackie's on one knee, and we'll have her arm as a starting point in the 90-90 position in the scapular plane. We've got a TheraBand soft weight, 1/2 kilo in resistance, that I'm going to very carefully throw in an underhand pattern such that it lands right in her hand. She decelerates the ball, and then we'll throw it back to me, providing then an eccentric contraction of the rotator cuff immediately followed by a concentric contraction, which is exactly similar to what's done hitting a tennis serve, spiking a volleyball, or throwing a baseball. So we'll start with just the tosses. There you go. Excellent. And she's decelerating the ball and then throwing it back to me. She's keeping her elbow at about 90 degrees, so there's a 90-90 position, as you see there. Not letting it drop. Very good. And we would do multiple sets of 20 to even 25 contractions to build endurance with this exercise. This exercise is called the Serratus Plank and works a very important muscle that stabilizes the scapula or shoulder blade. We begin putting the CLX right around the forearm, just below the elbow. We put it on one side, pass it behind Jackie, and then insert it onto the second forearm. She's now going to assume a plank position, which is a position that many players use for training for their core. We want the strap to be right around the middle of the mid-back, just below the shoulder blades. There you go. Now, she's going to assume the plank position, but instead of remaining perfectly stationary, she's going to come up into a plus position where she rounds the upper back and then goes back down against the resistance of the band. Try it again. We would do repeated sets of this exercise, and it has the added benefit of engaging the core at the same time as working on the serratus anterior for the shoulder blades.